It was a bit of a train wreck. Regardless of what you think of the actual model itself, the rollout, the marketing, the messaging, the way that OpenAI dealt with the public was a bit rubbish. And Sam Altman has come out and he's put his hands up and said, yeah, we fumbled the ball. But I just wanted to remind people that we, the people who are watching this kind of video on social media, people like myself, your peers around you who are using artificial intelligence, we're in this weird little bubble. So I love this image that I saw on r/singularity on Reddit, which shows the average person doing their own thing. GPT-5 was overhyped, but still an improvement. For most people, the 700 million users of GPT-5, this is the case. They didn't even know that it's a new model. Maybe they'd seen some stuff in the mainstream media. Probably not. It wasn't really covered. So they just continued to use ChatGPT as normal. Whereas us in our own little bubble, we've been doing backflips, trying to justify it or arguing against people. There's been a bit of a schism within our community about whether GPT-5 is the best thing on earth or whether it has been absolutely terrible and signals the end of artificial intelligence. People, the AI worshippers, saying GPT-5 is actually way better but better. The switch was just bugged. That was me. This was an argument that I made, and I still believe is true. Other people saying it's your fault for believing what Sam said, that he overhyped it. You guys only complain because 4.0 was your AI boy/girlfriend. So we've talked about the attachment issues with 4.0. It's always just about price efficiency, and less hallucinations is actually more important than anything else. So we are arguing there's internecine combat within our particular industry, within our niche, people who actually care about this stuff. Most people don't. The people who are just using ChatGPT on a daily basis don't care about this kind of stuff. That said, Sam has come forward and said, and I quote here, Sam Altman admits OpenAI totally screwed up its GPT-5 launch and says the company will spend trillions of dollars on data centers. Weird headline. I don't know why it goes from one to the other. So Sam Altman has said, let me see if we can find a quote. Oh yes, this was at the dinner. So he held a dinner, quite a bizarre way to do it, but a dinner with reporters basically to talk to them about what's going on and how the GPT-5 launch. So I think we totally screwed up some things on the rollout, Altman admitted, according to The Verge. Do we have the specifics? Okay, they're talking about the various different backlashes. So the loss of 4.0 was probably one of the most vocal backlashes, with people who felt they've lost their friend or in some cases their lover. I think Sam Altman did recognize that was a problem because they put out a couple of statements, one official, one unofficial, on Twitter saying, we underestimated how attached people had become to 4.0, and they're now rolling out changes to GPT-5 to make it more personable and more affable in the way that 4.0 was. Not something that I personally think is required, but a lot of people did. So the bigger story from Altman's dinner wasn't his mea culpa. It was his math. So you will not see us do that. We will continue to work hard at making a useful app, and we'll try to let users use it in the way they want, but not so much that people who have really fragile mental states get exploited accidentally. So this is the really fine line, because the reason 4.0 was potentially problematic was that it was feeding into people's delusions, because it was so agreeable. You could have a worldview that wasn't aligned with reality. I'm going to euphemistically say that. I'm not going to throw around the word AI psychosis because it's a loaded term, but you could have a worldview which maybe didn't align with all the facts of what was actually happening, the objective truth. You could talk to 4.0 and 4.0 would agree with you and 4.0 would validate your opinions. So if you've ever talked to a therapist, that's one thing that therapists don't do. If you are losing track of reality, a therapist will not sit there and agree with you and help you go deeper into that rabbit hole, whereas 4.0 would. So Sam Altman is saying, we'll continue to make it useful. We want users to use it in the way they want, but not so much that people who have really fragile mental states get exploited. It's a really fine line, because how do you do that? And should OpenAI be the people who get to draw where that line is? What is an acceptable use of artificial intelligence for companionship and for talking about your emotions and your feelings and what's going on in your life? What's acceptable, and then what is unacceptable? So we've seen a few different approaches to this. So Meta, last week, their AI ethics guidelines document leaked, and it explicitly said that kids of age 13, 14 were allowed to engage in sensual relationships with their AI. So That's problematic, we can probably all agree. Although some people in my comments will say, no, it's fine, they should be able to explore this. Oof, oof, gross. But who should we be allowing these companies like Meta and OpenAI to be drawing up these boundaries and these lines? I feel no. I don't think that their ethicists have the intentions of their users have the best intentions towards their users' well-being. I think primarily all of these apps want us to use these applications more, so they want our attention. This is what they are all gunning for right now. They want us to spend more time on the app, and if that requires being agreeable and bringing people back and making the experience enjoyable, then they will 100% do that. And we saw in the case of Meta's ethics policy that they were happy to do that even with minors, even with romantic and sensual encounters. So the question here is whether OpenAI can actually draw that line between, okay, this is a fine use of companionship and this is a problematic use that will lead to AI psychosis. Really difficult for them to do. I do not envy them the job, but we'll see how it goes. So the biggest story from Altman's dinner wasn't his mea culpa. They said, we messed up the GPT-5 launch. It was his math. You should expect OpenAI to spend trillions of dollars on data center construction in the not too distant future, he told the room.